A hack is a slang term used to refer to both a mediocre comedian and/or a reused obvious or stolen jokes from other comedians. This repetition of low-quality jokes is reflected in the re-triggering of low-rank cards. In poker, card
sets
are called hands, and the relevant hands are normally 5 cards each. So 4 fingers is in reference to a hand that's short by 1 card, or finger. Get it? Hands and fingers? On the credit card joker, there are a few references in the numbers, and of course, none of these numbers correlate to real credit cards. The first series of numbers are 8675309, which is in reference to a song by the same name by Johnny
two-tone,
and it also has the 2 funniest numbers. And 1234 is often used in dummy credit card numbers. The misprint joker is in reference to playing cards having, well, a misprint. Like this Pokemon card, some misprints actually go for more money than their non-misprinted counterparts. The raised fist is an image commonly associated with socialist or communist ideals. It is also used in expressions of solidarity and has been a symbol of workers' rights movements and trade unionists. The Fibonacci sequence is a mathematical pattern where the number in the pattern is found by adding the 2 previous ones together. It can be found in nature, such as in how certain plants, flowers, and fruits grow. If the pattern starts at 0, it goes 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 98, 144, and so on. This is referenced in Balatro with the aces taking the place of a 1 card. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8 cards triggering its special effect. And Fibonacci's price in the shop is $8, and 8 is of course a Fibonacci number. You know when you're looking at a socket or something like that, and you see what looks like a face in it? That's pareidolia. The gross Michael is a banana species that once made up the vast majority of bananas consumed around the world. It was sweet, grew densely, and was very resistant to bruising in transit. However, it was grown in a massive monoculture and was very susceptible to diseases. After it was devastated by a fungal pandemic in the 1960s, it was phased out in favor of the more disease-resistant Cavendish species. This is represented in the extinct pop-up once destroyed and replaced in favor of the Cavendish. The business card in Balatro closely resembles the business card from American Psycho. A bus usually keeps driving until it has to stop to pick up passengers. In Balatro, the face cards, Jack, Queens, and Kings, represent the people as shown on the card. Route 2, 10, and A could also be read as allowing cards 2 through 10 and aces to continue onward. The reason why an astronaut joker was chosen for this effect might be because planet cards are the primary way of upgrading poker hands. The egg joker is likely a reference to the Clowns International Egg Registry, where clowns can register their unique face makeup by painting it on. It may also be referring to the term nest egg, which is a reserve or investment of money for the future. Local Funk has also said that the egg is a reference to Northern Lion. The runner's ID number 345 is in itself a short straight, which makes a lot of sense due to this card's ability being all about straights. This joker is a reference to, well, ice cream, and it melts away just like the real thing. In collectible card games such as Magic the Gathering, a splash is a term for the practice of using only a very small amount of cards of one color in a deck, which is filled with cards of other colors. So imagine if I have an abundance of blues and reds, but not that many greens. That would be a splash. A sixth sense, also known as extrasensory perception, is the power of perception beyond the 5 senses of sight, hearing, touch, smell, or taste. For this joker, please bear with me. I know nothing about quantum mechanics. In quantum mechanics, super precision is the ability of a quantum system to be in multiple states at the same time until it is measured. The sprite of this joker resembles an electron, which can only have +1/2 or -1/2 spin, similar to how aces can only form high or low straights. The first letter of each thing on the to-do list spells out joker. The disease-resistant Cavendish banana species makes up the vast majority of bananas consumed around the world. It was introduced after the previous species, the gross Michael, was devastated by a fungal pandemic in the 1960s. A similar disaster could occur to wipe out the Cavendish bananas. but more care and preventative measures are in place to stop this from reoccurring. This is represented by the Joker's powerful bonus, the highly unlikely chance of it self-destructing, and the requirement for the Gross Michael to go extinct first. The waves of energy radiating from the banana in Cavendish's art may be a reference to how bananas are very faintly radioactive. Card sharps, sometimes known as card sharks, people who use their skill and/or deception to win poker games. The word riffraff has the meaning of people with a bad reputation or of the common class, which is fitting in how riffraff only creates common jokers. The Joker Midas mask is a reference to King Midas, a king of Greek myth who was cursed to turn anything he touched into gold. The art for the reserved parking Joker is most likely inspired by this sign or a similar one. The mail-in rebate is addressed to Jerry Seinfeld's apartment from the show Seinfeld. Going to the moon is a common phrase used by cryptocurrency traders to describe a stock that is rising incredibly fast. The artwork on the card also depicts the price of a stock going up. Next up, we have a 4-for-1 special with the 4 deadly sins, with the lustful Joker representing the hearts, the greedy Joker representing the diamonds, the wrathful Joker representing the spades, and lastly, the gluttonous Joker representing the clubs. This card is in reference to a bull market. A bull market is where stock prices are likely to rise, which makes sense since this card operates off money. The first Diet Cola drink produced by the Coca-Cola company was called a tab, which plays into this card, giving you a double tag when sold. Based on what I could find, the spare trousers aren't really based on anything, but the background are little pants! And I just feel like the people needed to know. The Ancient Joker's artwork is a reference to Olbap, a face that Twitch streamer Malf would often sketch when streaming games that involve drawing. The values 10 and 4 are referring to a common phrase used by US law enforcement to acknowledge that they have understood a message received over their walkie-talkies. Just like a real campfire, it needs fuel to work. The numbers 161-80339 used in the artwork are the first digits of the golden ratio. The golden ratio is a relationship between two numbers that are next to each other in the Fibonacci sequence. The acrobats in the artwork could be performing using aerial silks or aerial straps, or perhaps a variation of courtleys. The lower acrobat seems to be holding an aerial hoop. Quite often, performers doing these types of acts will have a big trick to finish their performance, represented by the 3 times mult on the last hand. Sock and buskin are ancient symbols of comedy and tragedy. In ancient Greek theater, actors with a tragic role would wear a boot called a buskin, while actors in a comedic role would only wear a thin-soled shoe called a sock. Swashbucklers in fiction tend to be heroic types skilled in swordplay, acrobatics, and charm, ready to rescue the princess. And with a strong sense of honor, famous swashbucklers include Robin Hood, the Three Musketeers, and many more. This card's name and design are a reference to how in a normal playing card deck, clubs and spades are the same color, just like diamonds and hearts. So if the symbols on a card are smeared, it would be hard to figure out what suit it belonged to. The name Throwback is possibly a reference to the 80s styling of this Joker. A chad is a fragment of paper created when a hole is made in paper. For example, with a hole punch. A hanging chad is one that hasn't fully separated, specifically in a way where it's only attached by a single corner. And in some systems, such as computer punch cards or voting machines, it could cause errors. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Flower Pot Joker is a reference to this Van Gogh painting. This Joker's name is a reference to the Cap'n Crunch cereal, specifically the Oops All Berries variant. Seeing double as shown in the image, it can happen for a multitude of reasons. Just like a real matador, this Joker provokes the boss blind for monetary gain. This Joker's name, effect, and unlock requirement is based on the 1961 hit song Hit the Road Jack, written by Percy Mayfield and originally recorded by Ray Charles. This Joker's appearance is a reference to the costume worn by American stuntman Evel Knievel. Shooting the moon is a term used in the popular card game Hearts, for winning a hand by taking every heart card in Queen of Spades. Normally, these cards give you points, which you aim to avoid in Hearts, as low as the score wins. but if you can take them all, your opponents get hit with a point penalty instead. It is a risky play to attempt, as missing just one card ruins the attempt and will cause you to take a lot of points. The number of enhanced cards needed to activate this Joker might be a reference to the minimum age required to be able to obtain a driver's license, which in the most parts of the world is 16. This Joker might be a reference to the phrase pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Canio is a reference to Pagliacci in the Italian opera
by Ruggero Leoncavallo.
The opera tells the tale of Canio, an actor and leader of a theatrical company who murders his wife Netta and her lover Silvio on stage during a performance. The destruction of face cards which featured people on them to increase Canio's power is likely a reference to these murders. The effect of this Joker is likely a reference to the story in which a court jester slaps the king on the butt. As the tale goes, the king told the jester he would be allowed to live if he could give an answer more offensive than the act itself. In response, the jester said, "I'm sorry, your majesty, I mistook you for the queen." This would explain why the effect of this Joker specifically applies to only kings and queens. Although the historical accuracy of this story is quite questionable, it is commonly attributed to Tribboleth. Yorick is an unseen character in William Shakespeare's play Hamlet. He is the dead jester whose skull is exhumed in Act 5, Scene 1. This also seems to be the origin of the 23 discard leveling, as in the same Act 5, Scene 1 of the play the following lines can be found. "This skull has lain in the earth for 23 years, sir. This skull belongs to Yorick, the king's jester." Chiquet, real name,
Jean-Antoine d'Angelreis,
was the jester of King Henry III of France and later King Henry IV. He was sharp-tongued, very cunning, and spoke with the king without formalities. The disabling of boss blinds may be a reference to this. Perkio of Heidelberg was a notable jester of
Elector Palatine Charles III Philip,
in Heidelberg as guardian of the Heidelberg Tun. He has since become an unofficial mascot of the city and region. His name, story, and image have been connected with a variety of festivals, traditional songs, cultural and scientific institutions, and more.
Random disclaimer.
All these cards are kinda just what they are on the artwork, so you can pause and look at them if you want to.